My parents never had much. They risked everything they had to immigrate from India to the US in search of a better life. And when I was born, they loved me unconditionally. No matter what happened in my life, I always knew that I could trust them. In fact, I first learned what it meant to trust from my relationship with them. Trust is the foundation of every human connection. Culture, community, in fact, our entire civilization depends on trust. It's the ability to predict what others will do. It governs every interaction we have with humans. In personal relationships, trust means exposing your vulnerabilities to someone and believing that they won't take advantage of that openness. When you first meet someone, you can't predict where that relationship will go, but if you're willing to give them your trust, you can get to know them, their hopes and fears, their wildest dreams and their darkest secrets. And as all that trust compounds over time, the benefits of closeness and intimacy far outweigh the possibility of pain and betrayal. Part of the human condition is to make predictions. We are constantly forecasting ahead by building internal models of the world based both on our experiences and what others tell us, then use these to guess what will happen next. We trust that people will take their responsibilities seriously, that they'll abide by whatever rules apply to the task at hand. We trust teachers to educate our children, chefs to serve us sanitary food, and coworkers to do their part. We've collectively built systems of trust all around us to facilitate our interactions with each other, and the data shows that in countries where people highly trust each other, there also tends to be low levels of income inequality, as well as high levels of political and economic stability. So how do we know who to trust? A 17th century English philosopher named Thomas Hobbes argued that in order to maintain civil peace and social unity in a society, there needed to be some kind of sovereign power responsible for protecting the security of the commonwealth and granted absolute authority to ensure the common defense. He called this power the Leviathan. The first Leviathan was organized religion. The idea was that if people put all their trust in God and followed His will on how to interact with others, they'd behave themselves. But soon, another Leviathan emerged, the nation-state. It offered to handle the complexities of managing society through the creation of laws and the enforcement of those laws via a uniformed police force. But now, we are witnessing the rise of a new Leviathan, the network. With the rise of the network, anyone in the world can communicate with anyone else. And because of that, we also now have the ability to trust anyone in the world. Trust was once an expensive pursuit. In order to convey it, banks, elite schools, and government offices were built from luxurious materials to declare solidity and tradition. But the network has changed all of that. Now, we're prepared to place our lives in the hands of people we know nothing about because of the emergence of networked services that enable two strangers to trust each other. We share rides with Uber, stay in homes with Airbnb, hire workers with Upwork, the list goes on. These services have codified reputation. They've built webs of trust. The number of stars next to someone's name makes it possible to trust them, even though we've never met them. But these systems of trust we've created have been abused. Many governments across the world have shown that they can't be held trustworthy. The series of pro-democracy protests across the Middle East, known as the Arab Spring, were hampered when local governments cut off the protesters' internet access. The Chinese government routinely censors data from its populace, which accounts for about a fifth of the world. And even in more developed countries, like the US, trust in the federal government is at an all-time low as income inequality continues to rise. This has led to the rise of the incumbent, Trump, with his diehard followers demanding he drain the swamp. The corporations that have built on the neutral playing field of the web now own most of our personal data, and we've learned that several of them have breached our trust in many ways using personal data time and time again. Corporate banks have stolen money from countless people and influenced the direction of entire governments with the power we've entrusted in them. The sheer size of these institutions we've built make the situation look hopeless. Competing with the government banking cartel is illegal and can be severely punished. They define monetary policy, and our need to use money that depends on them has become our straitjacket. But a few years ago, a paper was posted in a cryptography mailing list detailing a system called Bitcoin that could challenge the most powerful monopolies in the world. It was the first system to show that it was possible for two people to exchange value over the internet without the need to trust a third party, like a bank. Bitcoin currently has a market cap of $80 billion and has remained secure after all these years. Soon, people started wondering, what if the underlying technology of Bitcoin could be used to remove the need for a trusted third party in other areas? The blockchain, Bitcoin's data structure, and its associated proof-of-work algorithm are starting to be applied to other concepts. Insurance, law, healthcare, anywhere where a risky amount of trust is involved can be a space where blockchain technology can improve the system by offloading some of the trust necessary from humans to machines. For example, there's a blockchain-enabled microgrid service in Brooklyn that lets individuals sell their excess solar energy directly to neighbors without involving a central utility company. We can create new organizations like this that are distributed and autonomous, systems that are open, trustless, and meritocratic, with humans at the edges and automation at the center. But last year, we learned something really important. One of the most popular blockchain communities, Ethereum, second only to Bitcoin in market cap, hard forked. What that means is, after a hacker stole $60 million worth of their internal currency, the community collectively made a controversial decision to rewind the blockchain so the money would go back to the original owners. This shocked many people in the wider community, since one of the core characteristics of a blockchain is its ability to remain immutable. The hard fork proved that blockchains are not, in fact, immutable, and it also proved something much more significant, that the blockchain is not, in fact, a trustless system. Yes, we don't have to trust any one party like a bank to utilize it, but we do trust three parties. When you hold cryptocurrency in your wallet, you are trusting the miners to secure the network and validate transactions, the developers to maintain and improve the code, and the users to use the platform. So you're not trusting one party, you're trusting the entire community. Blockchains don't offer a trustless system, but rather a reassignment of trust amongst many parties instead of one. The more distributed the trust is, the more the risk of fraud decreases. So instead of building systems that try to eliminate trust, maybe we should build systems that strengthen it. Not more trustless, but more trustful. Imagine apps that are run by the community that uses them. That means a rider and a driver not needing a for-profit third party to help them find and trust each other, or a consumer owning their own demographic profile and choosing what to disclose to service providers in exchange for economic value. So while trust is necessary in every interaction we have with humans, there are many cases where minimizing it is beneficial, and we can use blockchain technology to do that. But the need to trust won't go away, and that's okay. We can't escape human reliance. As fallible and imperfect as we are, there will always be some risk involved in our interaction with humans, and the higher the risk, the higher the reward. As we build better systems that nurture and nourish trust, we'll be able to extend our capabilities in every way by augmenting our intelligence with the power of the web, becoming ever more connected with each other. And when I think back to the dreams my dad had for me as a child, or the ones that all the eager young developers I've met have for success, or the ones I have in my most intimate relationships, I realize that trust can be the bridge between where we are now and where we all want to be, home. Hey guys, hope you liked the video. The winner of last week's coding challenge is Zacharias Bowler. Zacharias created a decentralized machine learning journal using IPFS. So awesome, I've already bookmarked this for my own use. He's got some great documentation too, so definitely check it out. Very well done. And the runner-up is Anup Ghatak, who created a decentralized Dropbox on IPFS. Very ambitious.